doll in Escape from the Planet of the Apes, and he was Cornelius, which is, I believe that is Caesar's son. So there is Cornelius. But you know what I find very interesting, how they call this Planet of the Apes a science fiction series. You know, whereas like I don't see science, that's not the first thing I see. I see all of the different commentaries on society, you know, as it has developed. I don't see science. When I think of science, I think of different, you know, compounds and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that makes it science to me is that, you know, it has something to do with scientists and the whole, at least these new ones, with some kind of Alzheimer's, cure for Alzheimer's. And that's how, in the newest Planet of the Apes, that's how they get their intelligence and everything. And that's how they kind of start wiping out the human race, because there's a virus that's attached to this quote unquote cure that they had for Alzheimer's. But that's Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and that is 1972. And like I said, very interesting that they call it a science fiction movie. But Conquest is part of the Planet of the Apes, and it's set in a near future where humans have turned apes into slaves. So remember, at first, you know, it is the Planet of the Apes. They are the leaders of the society. And then the humans come in, and Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, the apes are now turned into slaves. And Caesar, my dude, like I told you, he rises, you know, they get Caesar and realize, you know, just the strength that, you know, and the way the community listens to Caesar and his voice and his platform. And so they get Caesar, and he is the one who rises from the bondage that the apes are in to lead an ape rebellion. And that isn't taken too lightly at all. But that is 1972. And of course, people, you know, at this point, people are still getting uneasy, right? They don't not quite want to say why they're getting uneasy, but they're getting uneasy because, you know, now Caesar he's starting an ape rebellion. And so that means, like it was said in the snippet, right? So if we lose, if the humans lose against the apes, then we will die. The humans will die. And that means that apes will then take over again. So definitely think about that. But because Conquest does happen to be successful, they do come with another installment to the Planet of the Apes. And this one is the Battle for the Planet. Sorry, family. Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And that was in 1973. And so, again, this Battle for the Planet of the Apes in 1973, remember, the budget is running high on this movie because this is one of the first movies where makeup is, like, heavy makeup is very, very, very important. But the Battle for the Planet of the Apes comes through, and it's, as they say in Hollywood, it's greenlit to be made. And it does have a lower budget than all of the other movies in the series. But in the Battle for the Planet of the Apes, this battle follows Caesar, my dude. This battle follows Caesar as he leads the apes and their human subjects after a devastating war that destroyed much of the planet, right? So he's leading the community. He's leading the planet, almost like a president, right? Which leads me to the political commentary in the last movie, not in this. As I'm going through the history of Planet of the Apes, I went on Battle for the Planet of the Apes in 1973. But in this last one, War for the Planet of the Apes, I feel like as I'm watching, I was like, oh my goodness, that's a political commentary. Because in part of it, they're talking about building a wall. And so the Colonel, which is a human, he has the apes building a wall for him. And so that goes into something totally different, but, where Caesar kind of finds his foothold, while he is in captivity, but that he is building a wall. So that sounds very familiar, right? Trump's trying to build a wall. And so in the movie Cease, it's like, we don't need there's no need for a wall. But of course the colonel is like, they need to make this wall. And so with no real understanding as to, what is this wall going to do? What is it going to promote? How is it going to help us progress? But that is the wall. So that brings me to my political commentary when they're talking about this wall. But anyway, so that is Battle for the Planet of the Apes, and that's 1973. And again, as the Planet of the Apes, for me, there is, it's a racial commentary. And going over reviews and analysis, they call it racial strife, and that it still does exist, which racial strife does exist even to this very day, 2017, in the US of A. And that, pretty much just like in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, this whole racial strife is certainly unavoidable, right? It's unavoidable. So we're going to go to the next. That's my song. I don't know if y'all remember the lynch mob, but I love the lynch mob, of course, because they are tied to my guy, Ice Cube. Very West Coasty. But this is Gorillas in the Mist, which is another, when it goes into, when I say racial commentary and how the apes versus the humans and that whole conflict, one of the titles, like in the streets, they call it the Gorillas in the Mist. People that are in the inner cities and, just struggling and surviving and going day to day. Those are Gorillas in the Mist. And so this song is Gorillas in the Mist by the Lynch Mob.
That's how it's done. So you better run your ass out the jungle. Cause here the
So that was Gorillas in the Mist, which ties into this whole Planet of the Apes concept. This concept. So we ended with the conquest for the Planet of the Apes. And so that conquest of the Planet of the Apes was, I'm sorry, not the conquest. The last one we talked about was the battle for the Planet of the Apes, and that was in 1973. And that is, there's a lot of controversy in terms of making the Planet of the Apes. Again, I think, because it is so heavily hit with racial commentary and, lots of different commentaries, right? So because of that, I think that's what probably slowed it down. But they never, in all of the analysis that I looked at about Planet of the Apes in that series, they never really talk about that. So that's just me speaking. So, of course, the last one is Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And then they go into, an animated series. Didn't work, right? Because nobody wants to see cartoons or anything animated in terms of that. But the animated series is then rewakes the whole remaking of the original films, right? With the Roddy McDowells and the Charlton Hestons and that whole idea. And so the remake and the relaunch of Planet of the Apes is done in 2001. And this is the one that most people can think of with Mark Wahlberg. So Mark Wahlberg he comes and he plays an astronaut. And he, travels through some sort of something and comes to a planet where these talking apes enslave humans. It's just like Planet of the Apes, like the very first one with Charlton Heston. And so, in 2001, Mark Wahlberg returns in the remake and relaunch of the Planet of the Apes, and of course it has mixed reviews. Of course the people are going to say it's not like the originals back in 68 and 71 and all of them, but it did do well at the box office. So despite what they say, somebody liked it, right? For the box office for it to do so well. Remember, this is a series, the very first one. It took 3 years for the original author of the Planet of the Apes to even bring this to life. And now they're doing so well in the box office. Like, you have Mark Wahlberg. He's going to be in the film. And, it's definitely a film or a series that is generating some interest. There's some definite interest that is spawned there. So after the whole Planet of the Apes in 2001, that is followed by Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And so in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that's when they don't really have to convince people, okay, this is going to make money, because it certainly did. And certainly Caesar, he has Caesar, King of the Apes, my dude, Caesar. He definitely receives, recognition from this drug that was created by the astronauts. And, he uses his ingenuity to definitely create or launch an uprising, which is very, very interesting to see, because the apes kind of rise up and they're like, you know what, this is our planet. We are going to do what we need to do in order to maintain our independence.